Vote with your pocketbook, your wallet. You vote with your time. Sit in front of the idiot box.
The tension between Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry has long been a topic of conversation in Hollywood. Both men have achieved remarkable success in the film industry, yet they have never worked together. While their careers have followed different paths, the question arises as to why these two iconic figures in black cinema have never collaborated. On the surface, their shared commitment to elevating black talent would seem to make a partnership a natural fit. However, Washington has openly criticized Perry's methods and the portrayal of black people in his films, igniting a broader debate about Perry's work and its impact on the black community. Denzel Washington, who has been a towering figure in Hollywood for decades, explained his reluctance to work with Perry, citing significant challenges in collaboration. Washington described Perry as being difficult to work with, particularly because of the environment on his sets, which he believed was difficult for actors and crew members. Beyond the set issues, Washington also criticized Perry for his portrayal of black people, particularly in his television shows and movies. According to Washington, Perry's work fails to present a positive or respectful image of black characters, which, given Washington's influence in Hollywood, has sparked considerable conversation about the broader impact of Perry's films on the black community. Washington's critique highlights a divide within the black community regarding how to best portray black culture and experiences on screen. Is Perry's approach harmful, or does his work provide opportunities for black actors and contribute to a wider representation of black life? This discussion touches on the tensions between two approaches to filmmaking: Washington's commitment to complex, nuanced portrayals of black life, and Perry's more commercially successful but often criticized portrayals of exaggerated stereotypes. Washington's disapproval of Perry's films, which include broad comedic characters and melodramatic storylines, signals a deeper concern about representation and the responsibility of filmmakers to present respectful, multifaceted portrayals of black people. Tyler Perry, for his part, is undeniably a force in the film and television industry. Rising from homelessness to creating a multi-million-dollar empire, Perry's journey is a testament to his work ethic, business acumen, and entrepreneurial spirit. He has not only built his own studio, but also created opportunities for many black actors, technicians, and writers. His success is often cited as an inspiration, especially for those from underserved communities, who see him as a model of self-made achievement. However, despite his immense success, Perry's films and shows have drawn criticism from many within Hollywood and beyond. His productions have been notably devoid of top-tier black actors like Denzel Washington, Idris Elba, or Viola Davis, raising questions about why these high-profile figures choose not to work with him. Critics point to Perry's reliance on broad, sometimes absurd, comedy and over-the-top characters, which often don't appeal to actors looking for more challenging, nuanced roles. The formula that has made Perry's projects wildly successful may be one of the reasons more prestigious actors steer clear of his productions. Moreover, Perry has faced intense criticism from some of the most well-known figures in black cinema, most notably Spike Lee. Lee, who is known for his unapologetic opinions and often controversial statements, has openly criticized Perry's work for perpetuating harmful stereotypes about black people. Lee accused Perry of promoting what he called coonery and buffoonery, arguing that many of Perry's films rely on exaggerated and demeaning portrayals of black characters, reinforcing harmful stereotypes rather than challenging them. Spike Lee's critique of Perry became especially pronounced around 2009 when he began to publicly criticize Perry's films. Lee described Perry's movies as lacking substance and reducing black people to laughable caricatures. He even compared Perry's work to the lowbrow content he believed was often featured on the idiot box, his term for television, highlighting how Perry's reliance on broad comedy and exaggerated scenarios could contribute to the perpetuation of negative stereotypes. Lee acknowledged Perry's business success, but took issue with the messaging and representation in his work. He believed that Perry's films, while financially successful, prioritize commercial appeal over responsibility in depicting black culture. This led to a broader conversation about whether financial success and high ratings are enough to justify the perpetuation of negative stereotypes, much in the same way that some question the ethics of a wealthy individual who profits at the expense of a marginalized community. Perry, however, has been steadfast in defending his work. He often points to the jobs he creates for black actors and the substantial revenue his productions generate as proof that his approach is not only valid but necessary. For Perry, the goal is to create entertainment that resonates with his audience, and he has a deeply loyal fan base that continues to support him. He argues that his success proves there is an audience for his style of storytelling, even if it doesn't always align with the artistic standards set by other filmmakers in the industry. However, despite the undeniable success of Perry's business model, his critics argue that profitability alone should not be the metric by which his work is judged. Just as the ethics of a drug dealer who gives back to the community are called into question, so too is the ethics of a filmmaker whose work may contribute to the perpetuation of harmful images. Critics argue that while Perry's financial success provides much-needed opportunities for black talent, it doesn't excuse the repetitive and often reductive portrayals of black people that have come to define much of his career. Perry's tendency to depict black women in his films as bitter, long-suffering figures trapped in abusive relationships has been one of the most controversial aspects of his work. Films like Diary of a Mad Black Woman, For Colored Girls, and Acrimony are frequently criticized for reinforcing damaging stereotypes about black women. In these films, black women are often shown as victims of betrayal and abuse, with their pain and suffering presented for audience consumption. Critics argue that this repeated depiction of black women as suffering martyrs undermines the empowerment and dignity of black women in the public eye. The issue of colorism within Perry's work has also been raised, particularly the frequent portrayal of dark-skinned black men as villains or flawed characters. For instance, in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the character Charles, played by Steve Harris, is a successful lawyer who becomes abusive toward his wife. This kind of casting, critics argue, not only perpetuates negative stereotypes about black men, but also reinforces the idea that dark-skinned black men are more likely to be portrayed as villains or deeply flawed characters. These recurring themes in Perry's films have sparked outrage, particularly from those who believe that if Perry's goal is to uplift black voices, he is failing to do so by consistently resorting to negative portrayals of black people. This is compounded by the behind-the-scenes rumors about Perry's difficult work environment, where many claim that the pressure to adhere to Perry's vision can create a toxic atmosphere. Some actors and crew members have spoken out about how challenging it can be to work on Perry's productions, adding to the perception that there is a disconnect between Perry's commercial success and the evolving expectations of his audience and peers. Despite these criticisms, Perry's work continues to garner support, particularly within the black community. Many of his fans see him as a trailblazer who has created opportunities where none existed before. His films often feature cultural references and shared experiences that resonate deeply with black audiences, fostering a sense of recognition and relatability. Yet this support also raises a larger question. Can the perpetuation of stereotypes and reductive portrayals of black people ever be justified by the jobs and opportunities a filmmaker creates? Does the success of a black filmmaker mean that any representation of black life is better than none, even if that representation is flawed? Perry's defense of his work often revolves around his deep connection with his audience. He is known for creating content that speaks directly to the needs and desires of the viewers who support him. He understands his audience and their expectations, which is why he continues to deliver the kinds of stories that they crave. His critics, however, argue that this approach comes at a cost, not just to the actors who work with him, but to the broader portrayal of black life in cinema. The portrayal of black people in his films, they argue, often reinforces the same harmful stereotypes that Hollywood has long relied on, limiting the scope of black representation and reducing complex lives to simple tropes. Tyler Perry's continued success, despite the growing body of criticism against his work, speaks to a deeper tension in the entertainment industry. On the one hand, there is a clear need for black voices to be heard, for more opportunities to be created, and for black people to have a presence in the media. On the other hand, there is an increasing demand for more authentic, nuanced, and empowering portrayals of black lives. This ongoing debate will likely continue as long as Perry's work remains a fixture in popular culture, and as black filmmakers and audiences alike strive to redefine what it means to tell black stories in Hollywood. In the end, the tension between Perry's work and the criticisms it receives underscores the complex relationship between representation, power, and profit in the entertainment industry. Perry's success is undeniable, but so are the concerns about the impact of his portrayals of black people on the wider public. Whether or not Perry's films ultimately benefit or harm black culture is a question that will continue to provoke debate as the black community navigates the challenge of balancing representation with respect.